Good afternoon, beautiful people. My name is Marvin LeBlanc, and today we're going to talk about what is the meaning of life. I am part of a Peri 10K Share-a-thon, PERI 10K. PERI 10K. Peri stands for Periscope, 10K stands for reaching out to 10,000 people. Again, my name is Marvin LeBlanc. I'm from South Louisiana. I'm a professional speaker. I'm an Amazon best-selling author, and I am also the owner of an insurance and financial services firm in the greater New Orleans area. Welcome all the people that are joining. Oh my goodness, Todd Husers is in the house. Can you believe it? Wow, I'm seeing people on here for the very first time. We have Texas in the house. We have Louisiana in the house. So what I want to first start with is to welcome all of you and to share this message to your Facebook people. Please share it to your friends and neighbors, coworkers, and relatives, because a much larger audience is actually going to see the replay. And so hey, Otto was in the house. Very good to see him. That's a guy that's got 3 fantastic kids that are succeeding well in a challenge society that we live in. Welcome, Luis. So today, the theme that we have at Peri 10K is how to live a meaningful life. And Peri 10K is a group of collaborators. We see Gadsden, Alabama in the house. Very good. We are a group of collaborators, sharers, authors, speakers, and basically we're givers, and our job is to serve. And we serve on a weekly basis without compensation. Of course, obviously, some people can go to my website, marvinleblanc.com, if they so choose, and they can buy all kinds of materials. They can call me for speaking services or for coaching services. So let's get right to the content, because I'm sensitive to your time and I want you to have a little bit better knowledge of who I am and what I do and what matters to me. And while I'm speaking, think of your own story on what really is the meaning of life for you. Hey, little Don, welcome to the group. Pastor Carlton is in the house. Very good to see you. So I'm going to share a story with you. There is a man that was my uncle. As you know, I'm a South Louisiana Cajun boy, and we have a lot of French sayings and phrases, and he was my parrain. And when you're a parrain in South Louisiana, that's a godparent. And in the earlier days, when the average person didn't live past 50 to 55, a parrain was very important, so that if you lost your father, that parrain was kind of responsible to see that you are finished growing up. And so my parrain was a famous great man named Julien LeBlanc. Julien LeBlanc just recently died in the last year and a half at the grand old age of 92. And I get chills even thinking about it, because I have such a long story that I could share with you. But the reason I'm sharing this story is this man exemplified what it meant for me. What is the true meaning of life? He had 8 or 9 kids. He retired from the Air Force, either a 1-star general or right just below it. He also, because he was Cajun and because he knew French, after the Normandy invasion, he was critical to some of the French towns in getting them clean water and getting them supplies, because no one knew how to speak French. And so my Uncle Julien went off and to the war. He was in the military for a long time. He came back, and in 1964 he became a State Farm Good Neighbor agent. Didn't hardly know anybody because although he was a hometown boy, he had been gone for many years. And so every night he would stop by my parents' home and find the directions to the people so that he could go and have appointments with them. My Uncle Julian was a man of few words. He was a man of well-chosen words. He also was a man of great faith. And so my point in the area of great faith is I'm most concerned with your spirituality. I'm not as concerned about your religion, nor am I concerned about you winning a 100% attendance award on a Sunday, because that can mean virtually nothing if your mind and your heart is not into the ceremony. But he was a devout Catholic. He was a trustee of the church. He was on the building committee. He was a treasurer of the church. And he would probably not even appreciate me sharing this story with you. But the fact is, as every church from time to time, most of them have food pantries for the individuals in the parish that were falling on hard times. It was commonly known that he happened to have a key to the food pantry because he served in that capacity. And so as fate would have it, when things got really bad and the food pantry would go bare, by some amazing, miraculous series of events, always in the darkness at night, he would show up and unload his car full of groceries for the people who he knew already was going to need that food in that food pantry. Because he was a decorated vet, he certainly was totally qualified for a 21-gun salute, and made it perfectly clear to his children that that in fact was not the intention that he had. What he wanted was a quiet ceremony that did not expound any self-importance. So the first principle I'd like to share with you on the meaning of life is to not indulge with self-importance. The other thing is that he shared quietly in his own way. He was not at the corner trying to get praise and appreciation. He just shared in his own private individual way. Interestingly enough, very similar to Andrew Carnegie, he spent his life accumulating a large amount of wealth and systematically chose to give it all back away every Christmas to his 8 or 9 children. And upon his death at 92 years old, his way, he died rather penniless on purpose. He didn't wait and hoard the money when his children for 15 or 20 years would and did need it while they were growing and building their own families. And so my Uncle Julian was a huge influence on my life then and now. I also believe that the meaning of life has to do with the aspect of paying it forward. Paying it forward. So every day, I don't know how it is for you, and I hope this message somehow touches your heart, but every day I wake up with a sense of obligation to pay it forward. There's about 9 or 10 people that drastically shaped my life and kept me on the path, the narrow path, and kept me from the wrong side of the street, if you know what I'm saying. And so I live my life thinking, what would they do if they were watching me right now? And that may or may not work for you, but for me, my life, a lot of it has to do with paying it forward to all of those people that sacrificed and nurtured me along the way. So One point I made was avoiding self-importance. The other point I made was the critical point in my life, and that critical point was to pay it forward. Um, I have a confession in that many people have asked me after the ravages of Hurricane Katrina, and now around August 12th and August 13th, we just had the great flood in Baton Rouge, and many people ask me, what is it that keeps me going and keeps me enthusiastic? And for me, at the end of the day, when I'm totally exhausted, that's actually the time of the day when I feel best. Even though I may be exhausted, if I can look at myself in the mirror and like a rock star who throws himself into the audience, trusting that the audience will catch him, I choose to live my life that at the end of the day, if my Creator takes me that night, that I have thrown myself into the lives of other people. And so that's the strong message that I have today. You know, the Japanese have a word called genshai, Genshai. And genshai is actually the art of never putting another person below you. There's another word in the English language that I choose for you, I would strongly encourage for you to look up, and that word is edification. And edification is the actual opposite of criticism or gossip. Edification is what you say good and constructive behind the backs of other people, so that if they hear what you said about them, they heard positive gossip. They heard you edify them when they were not present. Imagine if you could live more of a life of edification. I choose to be very careful with certain conversations, especially right now in the era of political correctness as it relates to politics and racism and social biases. I don't want to portray myself of going along with a certain attitude that, quite frankly, I don't believe in. And so think about what it is that you stand for. How can you make such a difference in people's lives that your goal is that when you die completely washed up and spent, giving it all, so that you gave more than you took. You gave more than you took. In one sense, I want everybody to cry huge tears when I die, not because I died, but because I have a chance to meet my Maker long before perhaps they may. So life is a celebration. Is life difficult? Life is difficult. Is life sometimes living hell? It is. It's a fact that at 43 years old, I became homeless. It's also a fact that at 80 years old, my father too became homeless. And my father and his lovely wife, both 80 years old, live with me. And it's an honor and a privilege. And quite frankly, we've gained so much as we've lost so much. And so that's my message to you today about the meaning of life. And so in 2 words, the meaning of life for Marvin is to serve. You know, the German root word of Salon, S-E-L-L-A-N, Salon, which is the root word of the word sell or sales, is to give. So a true selling professional is actually a true giver, a true servant. And so for me, that's where it's at. And I hope it's there for you. And don't beat on yourself if you've spent too much time obsessing with keeping up with the Joneses. Let me give you a secret. You don't know the Joneses. Of course, there's a Dr. Samuel Jones in the house right now, and I do know him. But this attitude of trying to constantly keep up with the Joneses, you don't know who they are, and they're not coming to your house. Okay, so yes, should we prosper? We absolutely should prosper. Recently in the news, someone lost over $10 million of jewelry, and if I said her name, you would know her name. Well, my question is, $10 million of jewelry. Do you know how many homeless people in New Orleans, Louisiana, I could serve with $10 million? I mean, come on, when is enough enough? So let's watch the excess, and let's also share with your other Facebook followers this message so that they can see the replay message. So that's what I think the meaning of life is. To look up the word Genshai, Genshai, to look up the word edification, to remember to serve and not be served, and to throw yourselves into the crowd. And at the end of the day, when you're exhausted, can you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I have done my best to serve others today, knowing full well that when we bleed, we all bleed the same color. I hope you're understanding and that I'm communicating my message effectively. Goodbye, everybody. Please join the replay if you're just getting on the broadcast. My name is Marvin LeBlanc. I'm from South Louisiana. And as always, I end every broadcast by saying, I wish you peace. I wish you love. And above all things, I wish you good gumbo. Goodbye. Thank you, Dr. Jones. Appreciate you stopping by. Thank you, Shane, for allowing us to buy your house whenever we were homeless. I appreciate that so much. Thank you, Kurt LeBlanc, for listening to me every day of my life. Thank you, Don Como, for helping me with all my customers. All of you are wonderful people, and I'm so grateful my life is enhanced because of each of you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Take care. Bye-bye.